right, it's Tuesday, the 30th day of April 2013. Good evening and welcome to KTN Prime. My name is James Smart.
Many thanks for joining us. I'm Linda Gutu. Let's take a look at some of the stories we will be focusing on tonight.
Seeking the truth, British pathologist arrives for Mutula's autopsy.
Solidarity forever.
Another looming strike. Cooper issues 14-day notice.
Nothing about these updates has to do with the ICC cases of the 3 Kenyans now pending at The Hague. The eventual establishment of the division is not in any way whatsoever intended to take over those cases.
International Crimes Division launched. Is Kenya divorcing the ICC?
Tumeangalia chama ndogo kama ya Wateso hakuna. Tumeangalia hii count kama imeran na upande mwingine itaangalia watu wa county sawa sawa.
And tyranny of numbers, row over ethnicity in county cabinets.
We start our bulletin tonight with the Mutula Kilonzo autopsy, and it seems Kenyans will have to wait for over 2 months to find out what killed the Makueni senator.
The team of pathologists who carried out the post-mortem were in agreement that the results of the analysis and tests following the autopsy could take up to 10 weeks.
I came purely as an independent pathologist for the family. One thing I can say at this stage is that all of us agreed with the findings, and there was no disagreement at all. It will of course take some time to actually develop the science behind this and review it, so at this stage we will have to await the outcome of medical science to determine the cause of death. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
The team of doctors I have actually mentioned, we are in agreement on the findings, and as I said, as you have been told by Dr. Calder, it is a scientific process that will take a bit of time, but eventually we'll get the report, Doctor.
And as my colleagues have said here, we are all in agreement of the postponement findings. We have to be patient, wait for the results, and we have to take some samples, which might take about 8 to 10 weeks. So I beg your patience for us to conclude this exercise.
Let's stay with that story. The long-awaited post-mortem on the body of the late Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo finally took place this afternoon at the Lee Funeral Home here in Nairobi. The examination was conducted by 7 pathologists, including a British forensic pathologist flown in by Mutula's family. The country now awaits the results of the autopsy, and as Rita Tinina reports, the examination took well over 5 hours. At the Lee Funeral Home, family and friends of the late Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo gathered for the autopsy to determine the cause of death of the late senator. The autopsy was postponed on Monday to allow a pathologist from the United Kingdom to arrive in the country to take part in the autopsy. The pathologist, Dr. Calder Ian Madison, arrived in the country at 6:20 a.m. The pathologist was given a 10-month work permit by the Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board.
We have to process the proper documents which are required by a foreigner to perform any duties, any kind of duties, in terms of medication, whether it is post-mortem or what. It must be cleared by the government, and more so the Department of Medical Practitioners.
Dr. Calder Ian Madison was later in the day to join another team of 6 pathologists led by the chief government pathologist Johansen Odwor. The 7 pathologists kicked off the autopsy some minutes to 2 p.m. The process was witnessed by, among others, the late Mutula's son, Mutula Kilonzo Jr., the family doctor, Lucas Musao, as well as a doctor from the Machakos Level 5 hospital. Initially, it was expected that the autopsy would take between 1.5 and 2 hours, but ended up taking close to 5 hours. The late Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo was found dead in his bed at his Manzoni home on Saturday. He will be buried next week on Thursday.
Right away from the Lee Funeral Home, members of the 11th Parliament today eulogized their departed colleague, the late Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo. During the afternoon session at the National Assembly, they hailed his hard work, commitment to the rule of law and service to country. The late Mutula first joined Parliament in 2003 as a nominated Member of Parliament.
We've lost a very sharp mind in legal matters. We've lost a sharp mind in parliamentary procedures, and of course this country will greatly miss Honorable Mutula Kilonzo.
He's a man I really admired while I was seated on this side of the House, that I wish he could one day be the Minister for Justice. And indeed, that came to be in the last Parliament, and others have said, Mr. Speaker, he really lived true to his words and his spirit of ushering in a new constitution.
I had the opportunity to watch Mr. Mutula in court. He was a great legal practitioner, a professional lawyer, extremely skilled, committed to his work, and those who wanted to know his secret would ask him what is the secret. He would say, work hard, wake up early.
There are politicians who have died before since independence. We had Gama Pinto, we had James Kariuki, we've had of recent times Saitoti and others. And all these politicians, including James Tomboya, whenever it's found that it's political assassination, the report never comes out. It dies midway. We want the government to go to every detail to make sure that this one, Kenyans know the truth, doesn't go like the others.
Right, so the family of the late Senator Mutula Kilonzo said an autopsy could not commence Monday without Dr. Ian Calder, a forensic pathologist based in London. But why him? Why is he seemingly so crucial in the investigation of Mutula's death? Well, to begin with, his credentials. He attained his Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery from St. Andrews University, that is a prestigious English institution whose alumni include Prince William and his wife, the Duchess of Cambridge. He also boasts other higher qualifications. He is a member of the Royal College of Physicians and is listed as a fellow of multiple science colleges. His area of expertise could, however, explain why he is so important to the Mutula family. Calder is cited as an expert in pathology specializing in trauma. He also specializes in forensic medicine in the context of sudden and unexpected death. But as an observer, how will these skills help the Mutula family? Calder also works as an independent witness at first autopsies and can conduct second autopsies on instruction. This could give a little insight into the role he could take in the coming days. Calder's record seems to speak for itself. A highly sought-after pathologist both privately and by government. Some of the notable cases he has been involved in include the case looking into the death of M16 spy Gareth Williams last year. Williams was found dead in his flat in London. Calder was also involved in the investigation of the death of Stuart Lubbock in 2010. Lubbock died in mysterious circumstances at a party hosted by a popular TV host in England. Now, both were high-profile cases in the UK that drew a lot of public attention. Based on these facts, he definitely fits the bill and will hopefully help solve the mystery surrounding Senator Mutula Kilonzo's death. Of course, that is a story that we will be following for you in the coming days, and we'll let you know what comes out of it. Let's shift our attention right now, and plans are underway to establish an international crimes court at the High Court in Kenya, even though the judiciary says it is not in any way intended to take over the cases of the 3 Kenyans pending before the International Criminal Court at The Hague. The ongoing plans come even as the president of the International Criminal Court, Sang Hyung Song, appointed Judge Robert Fremer to replace Judge Christine van de Winget, who pulled out of the trial case pending against President Uhuru Kenyatta, Deputy President William Ruto, and radio journalist Joshua Sang. Well, Ruto is expected to appear before the Hague-based court on May 28th. Chief Justice Dr. William Mutunga says the special court aims to domesticate the Rome Statute, for which Kenya is a state party. Mutunga added that the court would also deal with other transitional crimes such as money laundering, drug trafficking, terrorism, and piracy. The Chief Justice says the cost of setting up the court and operationalizing it at the expected the international standards is enormous, and Kenyan taxpayers should brace themselves for higher taxation.
Nothing about these updates has to do with the ICC cases of the 3 Kenyans now pending at The Hague. The eventual establishment of the division is not in any way whatsoever intended to take over those cases. Under Article 2 of the Constitution of Kenya, provisions are made for the application of international law in Kenya. Besides, our country, as you all know, has been facing great challenges from transnational crimes such as money laundering, cyber crimes, human trafficking, terrorism, piracy, drug trafficking, trafficking in arms, and illegal trading in wildlife products.
So we want a court that is specialized to deal with these crimes, and on the level of standard, international level of standards.
It's possible to make Kenya a criminalized state if we don't address these issues sufficiently.
All right, now, with the establishment of the International Crimes Division at the High Court, questions abound as to whether the country is propping itself to severe ties with the International Criminal Court. Now, the move catapults Kenya into the League of Africa Union and the East African Community, both pushing for an African court with international jurisdiction to deal with crimes against humanity. Sam Ogina looks at the latest development that analysts are saying could soil relations with the Hague-based court.
The country might be ready for a referral of the ICC cases following the establishment of the International Crimes Division at the High Court. Pundits view the launch of ICD as an entry point for another push to refer the cases facing President Uhuru Kenyatta, his deputy William Ruto, and radio journalist Joshua Arap Sang to be tried locally. Among ICD's jurisdiction is prosecuting international crimes with the scope of crimes against humanity.
You can also not fault any Kenyan who may think that the purpose of creating the division is basically to prepare for any application which may be filed at The Hague to have a referral.
The move is the country's boldest statement yet of preparing ground to join the African bandwagon of reneging against the ICC. In the just concluded East African Community Heads of State Summit in Arusha, Tanzania, the summit resolved to expand the mandate of the East African Court of Justice to rope in crimes against humanity jurisdiction, a strong signal that Africa and ICC ties is waning.
It had nothing then, and it has nothing now, to do with any cases that are in any other court or tribunal outside Kenya.
The country landed itself at the Hague-based court after failing on 2 options: creating a special tribunal that was voted down in Parliament, and creation of a special division of the High Court. At the swearing-in ceremony of President Uhuru Kenyatta, Ugandan President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, speaking on behalf of invited presidents, lauded Kenyans for electing the ICC presidential pair of Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, saying it was a revolt vote and a referendum against the ICC approved.
Instead of a thorough and thoughtful process, we have got individuals engaged in legal gymnastics in far-off land.
The African Union and the East African Community have frankly castigated the ICC and silently pushing for an African court similar to the ICC. But with Ruto and Uhuru's trials beginning in May and July respectively, a referral bid may be too late in the day.
International law is not viable, you can't have a referral now.
The establishment of the ICD may be a shot at the Western powers that a divorce with the ICC might be in the works. Sam Ogina, KTN, Nairobi.
Well, that story by Sam Ogina leads us to a big question tonight. We're asking you, do you think the new International Courts Division can handle ICC cases?
Well, send your yes or no responses with brief comments to the number 8040. Linda and I will sample your views during this newscast and give you the poll results at the end of this bulletin.
Indeed. Now, tomorrow is Labor Day, but this day has lost its meaning for the urban poor living in informal settlements who feel that the government should find a way to lower the cost of living in order for the urban poor to be able to make ends meet.
Well, ahead of the celebrations, KTN's Catherine Omwantosh spent the day with one Boniface Ogola and other unemployed youth of Kibera, who say creating 1 million jobs a year is just as important as creating a price ceiling for basic commodities such as maize, flour, milk and bread.
Take a look at the story.
6 a.m. Residents of Kibera pound the pavement en route to their workplaces, except 29-year-old Boniface Ogola. He hasn't heard of any work, so he opts to stay in with the family a little while longer. Both unemployed, Boniface and 21-year-old Evelyn, must now plan on how to make some money that can sustain them until tomorrow morning.
Hakuna mtu nitaachia mtoto. Hata nikipata mtu naachia mtoto kwa mfano daycare. Daycare unaweza pata kuna watoto, kila mtoto kuna mgonjwa wake. Labda measles nini, mtoto apate hizo ugonjwa. Na unajua sisi ni mahasla. Sasa itabidi tena umpeleke hospitali. Na hiyo pesa tunapata kwa siku hata iwezi toshia hospitali.
Leo nilipanga kwenda nipike mandazi ya saa 5. Alafu kuna best yangu mwingine nampeleka kutengeneza stima. Anapanaka juu ya pole, anatengenezea tu stima.
7:30 a.m. and he's off to see what the day holds for him. He takes us to a junction where he and other unemployed men wait for trucks to unload or load, depending on the job. If the truck comes by, he would have earned at least 100 shillings. But today there's no sign of this job coming through, so he takes us to his other option. The owner of this stand pays him 70 shillings to make mandazis that go for 5 shillings. Once he's done here, he asks for another job at another mandazi outlet down the road. And with this he takes home at least 140 shillings. Little, but enough to sustain the family until tomorrow.
Na napea bibi yangu asubuhi 50, saa 7 100, usiku 100.
Ni bwana caring, pia ni hard working tu. Yeye anajaribu, hakuna siku tutashinda bila kukula. Anajaribu njia zote, hata kama atakopesha ataenda kopesha, bora tu sisi make sure sisi tumekula tukopoa.
Unemployment has forced men like Boniface into a life of crime just to make ends meet when no income is forthcoming.
Wachukue basic like unga, zile basic needs zenye watu wanahitaji. Watuambie kitu kama unga, mafuta, labda fare, watapunguza vitu. Wapunguze vitu hata kama hatuna kazi. Let's say nikipata kitu kwa hustle hapa mtaani, juzi tuko mtaani, tupate like 200. Na najua labda unga ni 40 bob. Najua labda mafuta ndabaya 10 bob labda, ama let's say like lita moja 90 bob. Naweza baya na 50 bob. Hiyo ndio kama nikileta job, hiyo ndio kama msaidia sana. Ndio kama msaidia kila mtu Kenya mzima.
Vile tulikuwa tunatarajia itakuwa hivyo, bado hatuoni kwa hivyo, kwa sababu alituambia vijana watapata kazi, wamama watapata pesa wafanye biashara. Lakini tunaona ile cabinet imeingia, hao wanajitetea matumbo zao. Hawaangalii wale wako chini na wale waliwapigia kura.
Mimi kaza kama youth yetu wenyewe, msiexpect kuemployiwa. Wewe create job peke yako kivyako.
Pastora Labor Day. Kwanza watu wale vile analianga shenzi. Wetu amwambia shenzi kwa sababu yeye anataka kuongeza salary za wasee. Na watu na wamepata mpaka magrants za 5 million. Hiyo ni kuonesha shameful kwa country kama hii Kenya.
The cost of basic commodities such as maize, flour, milk and bread continues to rise, but the money earned by people living in informal settlements is either constant or reducing, making it harder for them to live day by day. When the Jubilee government took office, there was a hope that this would change for the better, but as the days continue to go by, it seems that this hope is seriously dwindling. Catherine Omwanzo, KTN in Nairobi.
Permitted by the same constitution to perform any other function provided for in this constitution, then if the president chooses that he himself or his deputy or any other member of the executive is the one to communicate to the assembly, that will still be within the law.
Also on the table before the House is a Division of Revenue Bill, which went time-barred in the last Parliament. According to the Commission on the Implementation of the Constitutional Chair, Charles Nyachai, it is clear that it will be practically impossible to meet the constitutional and statutory timelines. Email correspondence with KTN Business Today, Nyachai says the timelines will have to be extended administratively since such an extension in the current scenario is unavoidable. Nyachai further urges a speedy completion of the relevant requirements to constitutionalize the process of budget making as envisioned by the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Should he be cleared to head the Treasury, Cabinet nominee Henry Rotich will have the delicate task of ensuring that what has so far been prepared by those at Treasury reflects the goal of the new government. Michael Karanja, KTN Business Today.
Kenya's year inflation rate edged up to 4.14% in the year to April from 4.11% a month earlier, raising the likelihood the central bank would leave its key lending rate on hold next week. In a statement, the Bureau of Statistics noted that prices of food and non-alcoholic drinks jumped 1.85% month-on-month on account of increased prices of items such as tomatoes, beef, potatoes and sugar. On the other hand, housing and utility costs rose 0.3.1%, attributed to modest increase in house rents and cooking fuel like charcoal. The transport index rose by 0.20%, mainly on account of high taxi charges. And Equity Bank has teamed up with Google to launch a payment card dubbed Beba Pay, which will provide a quick and convenient way to pay bus fare without the use of cash. The payment system is meant to make commuting easier, orderly and manageable. Philip Keitani with the details.
With 1.5 million Nairobians using the public transports each day, it has become prudent that the sector embrace technology to minimize on losses. So far, the sector has been able to cut a niche for itself as the most chaotic industry at the expense of commuters and matatu owners. But the launch of Beba Pay by Google and Equity Bank and matatu owners, some sanity now is expected in the industry.
Your Excellency, this is the only business that a service is provided and workers choose to give you at the end of the day what they feel is right.
If we all embrace a cashless public sector transport, this economy will grow by an additional 2%, moving from the projected 6.1% to 8.1%.
The technology is expected to allow a commuter to simply tap their Beba Pay card on a card reader and the fare payable transferred to the matatu owner's account. The technology, apart from promoting a paperless industry, is also expected to bring down corruption.
One of the things that we've agreed to do with Kura is to train traffic marshals so that we can remove traffic policemen from roundabouts so that they can do the job that they're trained to do.
Harnessing technology the way we are witnessing this morning will take this economy to a double-digit level under 5 years, and we intend to achieve that.
With Beba Pay, the government is also expected to tap in close to 4 billion shillings in revenue each year, an amount that today does not get to the taxman due to the informal nature of the public sector. Philip Keita and KTN Business Today.
Thanks, Philip. And what do we say? Bus fare just got digital. And now let's take a look at how the money market is doing. And we'll be back shortly with more. Don't go away.
Title holders Tusker finally walked into various fields. For the rescheduled fixtures, goals were hard to come by. As at now, they have only netted 5 goals in 6 outings. The 2013 season has witnessed a major goal drought, and EC coach Robert Matano was emphasizing on during today's training as he took his forwards through attacking drills.
Hiyo ndio football. So without scoring,
Bila kufunga mabao pia hujacheza vizuri. Hakuna mtu atajua umecheza mpira. So lazima tufanye hiyo, ndio imekuwa problem.
The title holders have won only 2 matches below par performance by a team of their stature. Matano, while admitting that competition has increased, he feels not all is lost for the Brewers.
League is competitive. We don't see many spaces where they can create to score goals. So that's why you see those goals are not many. There's no team willing to attack. There are people play cautious game.
They play away to City Stars on Wednesday in the only midweek Premier League clash.
Well, that's also they're preparing. So we'll start with the low pace and we are coming up well.
Fast fading Ulinzi Stars are their guests on Saturday. Victor Ogale, KTN Sports.
Tusker just moved out of the relegation. The 11th edition of the Bamburi Super Series will kick off this weekend with 2 matches scheduled for Nairobi, one in Nakuru and another one in Kampala, Uganda, as the franchise rugby tournament kicks off this weekend. And the tournament will see Kenya represented by 6 teams. Nyumbu, that consists of Impala, Nondis and Kenya Harlequins. Ndovu has Nakuru RFC, Egerton University, Moi University, Eldoret and Kitale, while university sides will form Kengewa franchise consisting of universities from Nairobi region. There's also Papa that will have players from Wamba RFC, KCB and Homeboys, as well as teams from Coast that will constitute Mamba. The Ugandan franchise, which are Victoria and Ruwenzori, shall remain the same. The Kenya swimming team, which won 80 medals at the just concluded Africa Zone 3 and 4 Championship in Zambia, jetted back home this morning with their glittering medals. 26 of the 80 medals were gold. Hamdan Bayusuf was a star swimmer with 10 medals, 8 of which were gold. The Kenyan team clinched both the boys and the girls team trophies and in total clinched 80 medals. Their medals harvest is one of the biggest yet by a swimming team. Kenya competed alongside 11 countries including South Africa, Tanzania, Uganda, Botswana, Madagascar, Malawi, Namibia, Rwanda, Zambia, Mozambique and Zimbabwe. Kenya's performance this year marked an improvement from last year's 14 gold, 23 silver and 16 bronze medals. Well, don't forget the UEFA Champions League semi-final second round is just minutes away. Real Madrid playing Borussia Dortmund, and you'll have the highlights of that match and much more tomorrow.